Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today is an absolutely beautiful day to dive deep into the messy, complicated, and utterly addictive drama unfolding in our favorite gated community. Grab a snack, get comfortable, and let's unpack all the chaos together. Beyond the Gates, spoilers tease that we are about to witness one of the most emotionally devastating and psychologically complex episodes yet. And if you ask me, the absolute climax of this whole mess centers entirely around Leslie. Guys, I need you to picture this haunting scene. Leslie, completely broken, lying on Eva's sofa, desperately clutching a tattered, worn-out teddy bear that Ted gave her years ago. It is a chilling image that screams unresolved trauma and lingering heartbreak. We all know Leslie has been spiraling lately, but this moment, this is absolute rock bottom. She's literally clinging to the ghost of a relationship that destroyed multiple lives, and I genuinely think it shows just how deeply Ted fractured her soul. But to understand how we arrive at this tragic, tear-jerking visual, we have to rewind and look at the absolute whirlwind of events that pushes everyone to their breaking point. Let's start with Nicole and Kial, because their dynamic is taking some wild turns. These two are having an absolute blast, playfully messing around in bed, and honestly, it is so refreshing to see Nicole actually smiling and letting her guard down for once. After their fun, they eventually head downstairs to clean up the house together. Kiel casually opens up about Noah's rebellious bad boy days, and it feels like a completely normal, healthy relationship building solid trust. But then disaster strikes in the most mundane way possible. Kial accidentally drops and shatters a plate on the floor. Instantly, Nicole completely overreacts. She gasps, yelling, "Oh no!" and immediately drops to her knees to frantically clean up the shards, profusely apologizing to Kial for her intense, out of proportion reaction. Why? Because that plate wasn't just everyday dishware. It was a sentimental wedding gift from her marriage to Ted, a relic from the golden days before his devastating affair with Leslie tore their family apart. This broken plate is a massive, glaring metaphor, guy. It triggers an overwhelming flood of memories for Nicole. She looks at Kial and realizes that they both carry incredibly heavy emotional baggage, but it is fundamentally different in nature. Nicole understands that the passing of Kial's late wife, Sarah, is a completely different kind of grief compared to the bitter betrayal she suffered. She even asks Kiel if he still keeps Sarah's old belongings, and he openly admits that he has an entire storage unit back in California dedicated to preserving her memory. Hearing this, Nicole's mind drifts back to her own complicated past. She suddenly remembers kissing Ted and unexpectedly confesses to Kiel that she has deep, lingering regrets about missed choices. Kiel is visibly confused by this out-of-the-blue confession, and honestly, so are we. What exactly is she regretting? Is it losing Ted, or is it the years she wasted trying to fix a broken man? Nicole quickly tries to cover it up, stating that overanalyzing things just paralyzes people from taking action. She firmly states she does not regret marrying Ted because it gave them their beautiful children, but if you ask me, that shattered plate definitely cracked open a dangerous door she has been trying to keep securely shut. Meanwhile, across town, Ted is doing his own share of heavy reminiscing while chatting with Bill. These two men are sitting around discussing Ted's current, incredibly complicated love life. Ted is adamant that he is completely in love with Shanice now. But the conversation inevitably turns to the past, specifically the genesis of his infamous affair with Leslie. Bill, in his classic slightly oblivious and arrogant manner, tries to downplay the start of the affair, claiming that the first spark was just a kiss. But Ted shuts that narrative down immediately. Ted insists that the kiss sealed his absolute fate. He tells Bill that he crossed the unforgivable line the very second he made the conscious choice to go see Leslie that night. In Ted's mind, the physical kiss was just the inevitable conclusion. The emotional affair had already taken deep root. As Ted talks to Bill, we are pulled into these incredibly vivid, cinematic flashbacks of Ted and Leslie's early days. Ted remembers sitting in that dimly lit bar, pouring his absolute heart out to Leslie about the agonizing struggles in his marriage to Nicole. He recalls telling Leslie about the heartbreaking miscarriages and the agonizing failed attempts at in vitro fertilization. It is so raw and vulnerable. Ted explains how his wife barely even spoke to him back then, except when they needed to coordinate their daily schedules. They were basically strangers living in a silent, suffocating house. Ted remembers how he desperately tried to communicate with her, but he just kept hitting a massive brick wall. In the flashback, Leslie gently suggests that he should see a therapist to work through his immense grief. And then comes the kicker. Ted confesses that his wife actually is a therapist. I have to admit, the dark irony of that moment in the flashback is almost comical, and Leslie literally almost chokes on her drink when she hears it. Ted immediately apologizes for oversharing and dumping all his heavy marital trauma on a virtual stranger. But Leslie, in a moment of pure, unadulterated empathy, tells him that he deserves to be heard. She reaches out and gently holds his hand. Guys, you can practically feel the electricity in that simple touch. Ted remembers how desperately he wanted to take things further right then and there, but he held himself back. They agreed to just be friends, but Ted thought she was the most amazing, understanding woman he had ever met. He remembers that very first kiss with such intense, haunting clarity. The flashbacks continue to roll in Ted's mind, painting a picture of a man slowly drowning in temptation. He remembers trying to pull himself back from the brink. He recalls a specific moment when he confided in Bill about his marital troubles with Nicole, even begging Bill to go back to a party with him just to avoid being alone with his dark thoughts, but Bill declined. And then the ultimate memory hits Ted like a freight train the night he finally made love to Leslie. He remembers Leslie looking deep into his eyes, asking him if he was absolutely sure about this massive step, and Ted replied, yes, he loved her. Only her. And then he slowly, deliberately took off his wedding ring. It is a chilling memory of a man making a choice that would detonate his entire life. Cut back to the present, and Ted is reflecting on all this heavy history while Bill arrogantly claims that his own relationship with Haley is doing absolutely great. Oh, Bill. If you ask me, Bill is living in a total fantasy world, completely blind to the fact that Haley is a literal nightmare waiting to strike. While the older generation is drowning in their past mistakes, the younger generation is trying to make sense of all the inherited trauma. Over at Eva's place, she is expressing deep, genuine concern about her mother falling right back into her toxic old habits. Eva confides in Isaiah, telling him all about how Leslie flat out rejected Marcel's offer to move onto his boat. Eva is absolutely terrified because she sees this as a massive flashing red flag. She believes this rejection is a clear signal that Leslie is reverting to her old ways and simply refuses to let go of Ted. Eva is so deeply frustrated because she genuinely believes that if her mother could just release her iron grip on the past, she could actually find true, lasting happiness with someone new. Eva continues to vent to Isaiah, admitting that even though she doesn't fully understand the complex, messy dynamic between Ted and Leslie, she knows the legendary story of their chance meeting. Eva says there is an undeniable, invisible thread connecting them, calling it destiny. Isaiah, who has seen his fair share of crazy life twists, nods and says he truly understands what destiny feels like. Eva lets out a bitter, knowing laugh. She explains that Ted always treated Leslie as an equal, not as someone beneath him. They found this profound, undeniable connection every single time Ted walked into that bar, slowly evolving from strangers to friends to lovers. Hearing this, Isaiah expresses his immense gratitude to Eva for sharing this intimate family history. Eva feels a sense of validation. She realizes that her mother isn't completely crazy for harboring these intense, lingering feelings, even if they are ultimately destructive. But then the conversation takes a sudden, incredibly heavy turn. Isaiah suddenly grows very distant, his eyes clouding over with dark memories. He starts talking about how everything in life happens for a reason, muttering the phrase wrong time, wrong place. He is talking about his own incredibly dark past. Isaiah opens up to Eva, recounting the days when he heavily relied on Joey for survival. He confesses that he used to steal cars, getting tangled up in some seriously dangerous, life-threatening trouble. He tells a harrowing story about how he and his buddy Des accidentally stole the wrong car, and it was Joey who swooped in and saved their lives from a brutal, violent retaliation. Isaiah reveals the tragic aftermath. Des eventually got locked up for a while for causing more trouble, and this time Des is never getting out. Eva is absolutely horrified by this revelation, gasping that it is a terrible situation, but it leads them to a profound realization about the flawed people in their lives. So they agree that despite all their massive, glaring flaws and criminal or moral failings, people like Joey and Leslie always show up when it truly matters. They are ride or die individuals who value loyalty above all else. Eva notes that her mother lives very fiercely by this code of loyalty. Just as they are having this deep philosophical breakthrough, Eva's phone buzzes. She looks down and receives a mysterious text message that instantly upsets her. We don't know who it is from yet, but if you ask me, trouble is definitely brewing on Eva's horizon. Now, let's get back to the absolute train wreck that is Leslie's love life. We jump over to a hotel room where Leslie is aggressively mixing drinks for herself and Marcel. The tension in the room is so thick you could cut it with a knife. Marcel, looking completely defeated and exhausted, bluntly tells Leslie that their relationship is going absolutely nowhere. Leslie immediately snaps. Her defenses shoot up, and she sharply asks him what the hell his problem is. Marcel explains that he wanted her to take a leap of faith and move into Sheila's building or boat, depending on how you look at his weird living situation, but Leslie showed zero interest. And guys, Leslie does not hold back. She proudly declares that she is Leslie, and she is not going to apologize for daring to want more out of life and actively pursuing it. She screams that she is completely sick and tired of Marcel's constant buzzkill, vibe-killing attitude. In a moment of sheer frustration and anger, she literally kicks him out of the room, ending things once and for all. The second the door clicks shut behind Marcel, Leslie's tough, impenetrable exterior crumbles into a million pieces. She bursts into tears, the crushing weight of her loneliness finally taking over. As she cries, she is pulled into another vivid flashback of the very first day she met Ted at the bar. She remembers the quirky detail that Ted loved eating pancakes and how she had told him about her old job at a nearby cafe. In the memory, she serves him a glass of bourbon and bluntly asks if he is drinking because he lost his job or lost his girl. Ted's response is so telling. He says that dealing with losing his girl is far more exhausting than working a full-time job. Leslie then confides that she has absolutely no love life to speak of, all while an old song by Anita plays softly in the background. Ted smiles, clearly charmed by her blunt, no nonsense attitude, compliments her high cheekbones, and walks out, leaving a lasting impression. Snapping back to the present, Leslie is driven by this overwhelming, suffocating wave of nostalgia and desperation. She grabs a bottle of wine and two glasses and marches straight over to Ted's door. She knocks, her heart pounding in her chest, but there is no answer. The silence in the hallway is deafening. Defeated, she slowly sets the wine and the glasses down at his doorstep, a pathetic, heartbreaking monument to a love that is long gone. It is so incredibly sad to watch her humiliate herself like this, chasing a ghost that has already moved on. Meanwhile, Marcel is out trying to drown his own sorrows after the explosive breakup. He wanders into the Uptown bar and is surprised to find Grayson working behind the counter. It turns out this is Grayson's new side hustle. Marcel orders a stiff drink, and Grayson, being the good guy he is trying to become, offers to lend a listening ear. He figures it is the absolute least he can do. Marcel immediately launches into a bitter, cynical rant, complaining endlessly about women and how impossible they are to please. Shortly after, Leslie actually walks into Uptown. She is genuinely surprised to see Grayson slinging drinks there instead of working his regular shifts for her at the clinic. Grayson flashes a warm smile and admits he really likes the tip money here, but then the mood shifts to something much more sincere and grounded. Grayson looks Leslie in the eye and deeply thanks her for throwing him a lifeline at the clinic when he was at his absolute lowest, most broken point. He pours her another drink and asks a simple, probing question: why did she help him? Leslie takes a slow sip, her eyes softening. She explains that she has lived through her own dark, incredibly difficult times, and she could clearly see that Grayson just needed a boost to get his spirit back on track. She even reminisces about her own days working as a bartender, bragging a little that she was actually really damn good at it. Sitting there at the bar, the atmosphere triggers yet another powerful memory for Leslie. She flashes back to the next time Ted came to visit her at her bar. In this memory, Ted warmly praises her for being so kind to him, and then he hands her a sweet, innocent gift, a little teddy bear. Leslie, overwhelmed by the thoughtful gesture, leans in and kisses him on the cheek to say thank you. But that innocent peck quickly ignites into a fiery, passionate kiss that changes both of their lives forever. Back in the present, Leslie shakes off the memory, makes a few mysterious phone calls, and continues drinking with Grayson, desperately trying to numb the pain. But wait, guys, we absolutely cannot ignore what Marcel does next. After his venting session at Uptown, Marcel heads into his workplace. And this is where things get super sketchy. He looks around to make sure the coast is clear, then takes a mysterious object and carefully locks it inside his desk drawer. Immediately after, he picks up his phone and makes a highly secretive phone call. What on earth is Marcel hiding? If you ask me, this guy has a whole hidden agenda that we are just barely starting to uncover. Is he working with someone dangerous? Is he plotting revenge on Leslie? The suspense is literally killing me. And that brings us right back to the most heartbreaking, chilling scene of the episode. After her night of drinking and reminiscing, Leslie doesn't go home to her empty place. Instead, she shows up at Eva's house. She doesn't say much. She just quietly walks over to the sofa, lies down, and pulls out that exact same teddy bear from her flashback. The bearer is now visibly worn out, slightly tattered, and frayed at the edges, a perfect, tragic symbol of Leslie's own fractured heart and psyche. She lies there, clutching it to her chest, completely lost in a past she can never, ever get back. It is a brilliant, devastating piece of storytelling that perfectly captures the destructive nature of holding on to what is gone. I am telling you guys, this show knows exactly how to rip our hearts out, and I cannot wait to see what happens next.